Alright, welcome to Genes and Genetic Makeup. For today's class, we will be going over the process of meiosis and a little brief activity that we will be doing in class today. The activity is really fun, it gets you really engaged, and it'll really test your knowledge of what you took away from this PowerPoint. So if you have any questions at the beginning of class, please let me know and I will answer them. But here we go. Alright, so the process of meiosis is different than that of mitosis, as we've already learned, such that in the process of meiosis, we get four haploid daughter cells, whereas in the process of mitosis, you get the two diploid cells. And that is because for the process of mitosis, that is mainly done in the cells of the body, whereas the process of meiosis is only done in the sex cells or gamete. Alright, so when you look at meiosis as a process, it can be a bit stressful to look at everything, as we've already done in class, so I'm just going to hit the major points that we will really need to brush up on for today's activity. And so as we get into it, prophase 1 is where the homologous chromosomes will line up in the center of the cell and crossing over occurs, and this is where you get that genetic variability. And so this adds a little bit of diversity into the gene pool of the family, and so it allows for some traits to be expressed and some traits not to be expressed, depending on dominance. But for today, we'll just say that everything will be expressed equally or has an equal chance of being expressed. And so prophase 1 will cycle down into telophase 1, and that's where the two cells, or the one big cell, will split apart into two cells. And then again in metaphase 2, the chromosomes will line up in the center and then be pulled apart, producing two cells each from those two original cells. And so you get the four daughter cells that are all haploid, as I have expressed earlier. And this is only done in the gametes. And so the reason why is because you need another gamete to then combine with it and form a zygote to produce the diploid number of chromosomes in the cell, and that will produce a progeny. Alright, so here we are in the process of meiosis. The top section where it's just the red chromosome and just the green chromosome would be where we are at in prophase 1, where they're lined up in the center of the cell, getting ready to be pulled apart. And this is where crossing over happens. And so a part of the red chromosome will transfer and switch places with the same part on the green chromosome. This is very important. So because you cannot have, let's say, the top half of the red chromosome switch places with the bottom half of the green chromosome. It just doesn't work that way. It will not support life if that happens. And so how do you get the genes that you have? Well, really, it's just a flip of a coin. You know, heads or tails, what am I going to get? Am I going to be able to express curly hair, or am I going to express straight hair? And there's always some different implications with that, but you know, most of the time it is really just a flip of a coin. No. So for today's activity, we are going to be looking at these different genetic traits, and then with a partner. And so one of you will be parent 1, the other will be parent 2. You will determine your genetic trait. And so, for example, let's say that I'm parent 1 and I have dimples, and then let's say my partner is parent 2 and they also have dimples. We don't even need to flip a coin for this for the progeny, because the progeny will have dimples, as we both have dimples and express dimples. But let's say for the hitchhiker's thumb, I have a regular thumb, but parent 2 has hitchhiker's thumb. We would just say that heads is the regular thumb and tails is the hitchhiker's thumb. You flip the coin, and whatever it lands on, your progeny will express. And so go through and do that for all 5 of those. You will see examples of what each of those look like in the next slides. And then I want you to go ahead and draw what your child would look like expressing all of these different genetic traits. Alright, so the genes that we're going to look at today were illustrated on the worksheet, but I'm going to go through and show you different pictures of each of them. So first off, we're going to look at the dimples and whether or not you have dimples or you don't have dimples when you smile. So like we see here in the picture with the little baby, when the baby is smiling, there's the dimples forming in the cheek, and so this baby does indeed express dimples. And to further illustrate this, the picture on the left now has dimples when they're smiling, whereas the picture on the right does not have dimples when they're smiling. So just go ahead and look at your partner, give them a smile, and they will tell you if you have dimples or if you do not have dimples. Next, we're going to be looking at hitchhiker's thumb or regular thumb. So the hitchhiker's thumb, the defining characteristic is where where the tip of the thumb bends backwards. But the regular thumb, when you give a thumbs up, will just be straight up. And then some more genes that we are looking at. The curled tongue, if you can go ahead and form that U shape with your tongue, then that means that you have the curled tongue gene. But if you can't and you struggle with it, then you do not have the gene to express the curled tongue. The attached earlobes and the detached earlobes, this is where it gets a little tricky. And so if you have any questions about this one, go ahead and ask me, but I think that you all can figure it out. It's relatively simple to, look at your partner and say that their earlobes are attached or they're detached. It's not too hard. And then finally, we're going to be looking at the Vulcan V and the Earthling. And so if you can't make the V with your fingers, then you have the Earthling trait. But if you can, then you have the V trait. So like I said before, just go ahead and fill out the worksheet and then draw your progeny. I will have colored pencils available for you to draw it if you want to use color. Feel free to get creative with it. It's your progeny, your child, and so kind of have fun with it. It's a fun activity, and it'll definitely get you engaged. But be sure to be ready to answer any questions that I might ask you, and make sure to think of questions that you can ask me to let me know that you did understand what was in the video and that you were thinking a little bit deeper about what we are going to do today with regards to the information.